I know you're somewhere, somewhere. I'm trapped in.
Disclaimer, I do not own or am claiming to have made any of the pictures shown in this video. No copyright infringement is intended. Hello everyone, it is TooAwesome here with another video. I have gotten a lot of constructive criticism about the first video in this series, so I took your ideas into consideration and have applied them into this video. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. Kicking off this video, we have Chikorita. With the highest overall stats out of the first stages of the Generation 2 starters, Chikorita is a very defensive Pokemon, with its defense being 65 for its special and physical. It does not have the greatest design or typing, with the grass typing being weak to so many other types. The only other reason to pick a grass starter in Generation 1 was because Bulbasaur had the type advantage for the first couple of gyms, but Chikorita does not have that advantage, with the first two gyms being flying and bug type. Overall, I give Chikorita a 2 out of 5. Bayleaf. I don't have much to say about this Pokemon. Its defense goes up from a 65 to an 80 overall defense. I think it has the best design in the whole evolution line. With not much else to say, I give it a 3 out of 5. Meganium. It has such a horrible design. Really, if they just stayed with the blade-like leaf on Bayleaf's head, then it would have been so much cooler. Its ability Overgrow is pretty useful in battle. It just has average overall stats and proves to be ineffectual in competitive battle. Overall, I give it a 3 out of 5. Cyndaquil. With it having the lowest overall stats of the first stages on the Generation 2 starters, its stats shine where it needs to. With it being a speedy special attacker, it only has access to one special attack, being Ember, unless you use TMs, egg moves, or tutor moves. But I just have one question. It said it is the fire mouse Pokemon, but it looks more like a hedgehog to me. And in my defense, it even says in the Pokédex entry for Pokemon Gold, it is timid and always curls itself up in a ball. If attacked, it flares up its back for protection. But putting that aside, it has a really solid design. I give Cyndaquil a 3 out of 5. Quilava. Quilava is a fast special attacker with an overall total of 405. It has a solid design and is a great middle evolution. I give it a 4 out of 5. Typhlosion. Typhlosion has great overall stats and, like the rest of its evolution line, is a fast special attacker. With learning moves such as Burn Up, Inferno, and Eruption, this Pokemon can deal some serious damage to opponents. I think this is a great final evolution and it has a solid design. I give it a 5 out of 5. Totodile. Totodile is a physical attacker and a physically defensive Pokemon. It has a good move pool with gaining access to multiple types of moves, not only just water type, but dark, ice, and even fighting type moves. Overall, Totodile has a great design and a good move pool, and a pretty good stats too. Overall, I give Totodile a 3 out of 5. Croconaw. Croconaw gets access to lots of physical attacking moves. It has a base stat total of 405, the same as Quilava and Bayleaf. Wow, mind blown. I'm still deciding if Croconaw's design is good, bad, or something in between. Overall, Croconaw gets a 3 out of 5. Feraligatr. In battle, it runs using its thick and powerful hind legs to charge the foe with incredible speed. Pokédex entry from Pokemon Emerald. I am confused. How does a Pokemon with 78 overall speed charge with incredible speed? That doesn't make much sense given Typhlosion is faster, but its Pokédex entries never say anything about its speed. But Feraligatr has a good move pool and access to good physical moves such as Superpower, Thrash, and Aqua Tail. Feraligatr has a solid design and has a good move pool. Overall, I give Feraligatr a 5 out of 5. Sentret. It has bad overall stats and has no access to any good moves. Overall, it has a pretty good and solid design. I give Sentret a 2 out of 5. Furret. Fur has decent stats and he is only weak to the fighting type. Also, Fur resists ghost types. But Fur doesn't have much access to many good moves. Fur has a cute and solid design. Overall, Fur gets a 3 out of 5. Hoot Hoot. Hoot Hoot has okay stats and is weak to the ice, electric, and rock types. But on the bright side, Hoot Hoot is immune to the ghost and ground types. Overall, I give Hoot Hoot a 2 out of 5. Noctowl. Noctowl has some pretty good stats and access to some pretty good special attacking moves, like Dream Eater and Moonblast. Overall, Noctowl gets a 3 out of 5. Ladybug. Ladybug has okay stats. It is weak to lots of other types such as fire, electric, ice, flying, and 4 times weak to the rock type. Also, it doesn't learn many good moves, leaving this Pokemon utterly useless. I give it a 1 out of 5. Ledian. Ledian, like Ladybug, is weak to many types. Although Ledian has a good overall stat of 390, it doesn't learn many good moves, and it is at such a disadvantage because of its typing. Overall, Ledian gets a 3 out of 5. Spinarak. Overall, Spinarak has okay stats. Spinarak is weak to the fire, flying, psychic, and rock type. But on the bright side, Spinarak is resistant to the poison, bug, and fairy type, and 4 times resistant to the grass and fighting type. Overall, I give Spinarak a 3 out of 5. Ariados. Overall, Ariados has some pretty good stats, but its speed is super low. It also doesn't learn many good physical moves. Ariados has a pretty good cool design as well. Overall, Ariados gets a 3 out of 5. Crobat. Crobat is a speedy physical attacker and has really good overall stats. Crobat is weak to the electric, ice, psychic, and rock type. But on the bright side, it is resistant to the poison and fairy type, 4 times resistant to the grass, fighting, and bug type, and is completely immune to the ground type. Overall, Crobat has a great design, lots of coverage, and is super fast. Crobat gets a 5 out of 5. Chinchilla. Overall, Chinchilla has pretty good stats. Chinchilla is a very bulky Pokemon with pretty high HP stats. Chinchilla is the only weak to the grass and ground type. Also, it is resistant to the fire, water, ice, and the flying type, and is 4 times resistant to the steel type. It also has a pretty cool design. Overall, Chinchilla gets a 3.5 out of 5. Lantern. Overall, Lantern has great HP and okay special attack and defense, but has bad stats for everything else. It can also be used in competitive battling because of its many type coverages. Overall, Lantern gets a 4.5 out of 5. Pichu. Pichu is a very speedy Pokemon. It is only weak to the ground type. It is also resistant to the electric, flying, and steel types. Overall, Pichu has a really cute design and is very fast. Pichu gets a 3 out of 5. Cleffa. Cleffa has decent stats for a first stage Pokemon. Cleffa is weak to the poison and steel type. It resists the fighting, bug, and dark type Pokemon, and it is immune to the dragon type. Overall, Cleffa gets a 2 out of 5. Igglybuff. Igglybuff has pretty decent stats for first stage Pokemon. Igglybuff is weak to the poison and steel type. It resists the bug and dark type and is completely immune to the ghost and dragon type. Design-wise, it is really cute. Overall, Igglybuff gets a 3 out of 5. Togepi. Togepi has the highest overall stats out of all the baby Pokemon. Togepi is weak to the poison and steel type. It is resistant to the fighting, bug, and dark type, and it is also immune to the dragon type. I love Togepi's design, and I really think it's cute and has a really good and it's really good and creative. Overall, Togepi gets a 3 out of 5. Togetic. Once Togepi evolves into Togetic, it gains the flying type. Once it gains the flying type, it also gains many weaknesses and few resistances and immunities. Togetic is weak to the electric, ice, poison, rock, and the steel type. It is resistant to the grass and dark type, and 4 times resistant to the fighting and bug type, and completely immune to the dragon and ground type. Togetic's design is pretty good, and I don't really have an issue with its design. Overall, Togetic gets a 3 out of 5. Natu. Natu is a fast special attacker. It is weak to the electric, ice, rock, ghost, and the dark type. It is resistant to the grass and psychic type and 4 times resistant to the fighting type. It is also resistant to the ground type. I really like Natu's design and overall stats, but with it lacking good moves and being weak to so many types, I have to give it a 2 out of 5. Xatu. When Natu evolves into Xatu, its stats across the board go up and pretty much balance out, with the special attack and speed being slightly higher than the rest of the stats. But overall, Xatu has pretty good overall stats. Xatu also learns some pretty good special attacking moves like Air Slash, Psychic, and even Future Sight. Overall, Xatu gets a 3 out of 5. Mareep. Overall, Mareep has okay stats. Mareep is only weak to the ground type. Mareep also resists the electric, flying, and steel type. Mareep also has a pretty solid design. Overall, I give Mareep a 3 out of 5. Flaffy. When Mareep evolves into Flaffy, its overall stats go up drastically. From Mareep's overall stat total of 280 to Flaffy's overall stat total of 365. Flaffy is a bulky special attacker and has access to special attacking moves such as Power Gem, Discharge, and Thunder, all of which are sadly learned after Flaffy evolves into Ampharos at level 30. But overall, I give Flaffy a 3.5 out of 5. Ampharos. Just like the rest of this evolution line, when Flaffy evolves into Ampharos, its stats jump up drastically. Flaffy, with an overall stat total of 365, evolves into Ampharos with an overall stat total of 510. Ampharos' special attack also gets an enormous boost too. And with this boost, Ampharos can get deadly hits off its opponents with its good assortment of special attacking moves. I think Ampharos has a really solid design and I have no problem with it. Overall, Ampharos gets a 5 out of 5. Blossom. Overall, Blossom has some pretty good stats. Blossom is weak to the fire, ice, poison, flying, and bug type, and Blossom resists the water, electric, grass, and ground type. Blossom even learns some good moves like Leaf Storm and Petal Dance. Overall, I have nothing against Blossom's design, and I actually think it's pretty good. Blossom gets a 4 out of 5. Marill. Marill has okay overall stats. Marill is only weak to the electric, grass, and poison type, but Marill is resistant to the fire, water, ice, fighting, and bug and dark type, and it is completely immune to the dragon type. I also really like Marill's design and I don't see anything wrong with it. Marill gets a 3 out of 5. Azumarill. Azumarill has pretty good overall stats. Azumarill is a really bulky and defensive Pokemon. Azumarill also learns many good moves. Azumarill would be a pretty good choice to use in a Generation 2 team. Overall, Azumarill gets a 4 out of 5. Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo has surprisingly some pretty good stats. It is weak to the water, grass, fighting, ground, and steel type. It is also resistant to the normal, fire, poison, and flying type. I don't really know what to say about its design. I'm not sure if I like it or not. Overall, Sudowoodo gets a 3 out of 5. Politoed. Politoed has some good stats. It is only weak to the electric and grass type, and it resists the fire, water, ice, and steel type. Sadly though, it doesn't learn many good moves. Politoed's design is kinda weird in my opinion. Overall, Politoed gets a 4 out of 5. Hoppip. Hoppip has meh stats. Hoppip is weak to the fire, poison, flying, and rock type, and is 4 times weak to the ice type. It is also resistant to the water and fighting type, 4 times resistant to the grass type, and is completely immune to the ground type. I think Hoppip has a cute design. Overall, Hoppip gets a 2 out of 5. Skiploom. Skiploom has okay stats. Sadly, Skiploom doesn't learn any good moves before evolving. The best move it learns before it evolves is Tackle, Fairy Wind, and Bullet Seed. None of these moves are very good. Overall, Skiploom gets a 2 out of 5. Jumpluff. Jumpluff has pretty good stats. It is a very speedy Pokemon. Sadly, just like this evolution line, it doesn't learn many good moves. Overall, Jumpluff gets a 3 out of 5. Aipom. Aipom has okay stats. Aipom is a speedy, physical attacker. It is weak to the fighting type and is completely immune to the ghost type. I also kinda like its design. It's not that bad. Apom gets a 3 out of 5. Sunkern. Sunkern has bad overall stats. Sunkern is weak to the fire, ice, poison, flying, and the bug type. It is immune to the water, electric, grass, and the ground type. Sunkern doesn't really have anything going for it except for its design. Overall, Sunkern gets a 1 out of 5. Sunflora. Sunflora has okay overall stats, but it's super slow, and I really don't like Sunflora's design. Really, just look at it. I really don't have much else to say about this Pokemon. Sunflora gets a 1 out of 5. Yanma. Yanma has okay overall stats and is a speedy special attacker. Yanma is weak to the fire, electric, ice, and the flying type, and it is 4 times weak to the rock type. Yanma resists the bug type and is 4 times resistant to the grass and fighting type. Yanma is also completely immune to the ground type. I do really like Yanma's shiny form and its design in general. Overall, Yanma gets a 3.5 out of 5. Wooper. Wooper has pretty bad overall stats, and Wooper is super slow, with an overall speed stat of 15. Wooper is 4 times weak to the grass type. It, however, resists the fire, poison, rock, and steel type, and is completely immune to the electric type. Wooper has a good design and is overall not a bad Pokemon. Wooper gets a 3 out of 5. Quagsire. Quagsire has good overall stats. Quagsire is a very bulky Pokemon with a good physical attack and defense. Quagsire also learns some good moves such as Earthquake and Muddy Water. I also like Quagsire's design. Quagsire gets a 4 out of 5. Espeon. Espeon has great overall stats. Espeon is a speedy special attacker. It is weak to the bug, ghost, and dark type, and it is resistant to the fighting and psychic type. Espeon learns many good special attacking moves such as Confusion, Swift, and Psychic, etc. And I think Espeon has a really cool design too. Espeon gets a 5 out of 5. Umbreon. Umbreon has great overall stats. Umbreon is a bulky and defensive Pokemon. It is weak to the fighting, bug, and fairy type. It is resistant to the ghost and dark type and is completely immune to the psychic type. I love Umbreon's design in its shiny form. Overall, Umbreon gets a 5 out of 5. Murkrow. Murkrow has surprisingly some good stats. Murkrow is a fast attacker. Murkrow is weak to the electric, ice, rock, and fairy type. It is resistant to the grass, ghost, and dark type and is completely immune to the psychic and ground type. I think Murkrow has a pretty solid design. Overall, Murkrow gets a 3.5 out of 5. Slowking. Slowking has really good stats, but like its name implies, is super slow. Slowking is weak to the electric, grass, bug, ghost, and dark type. It is resistant to the fire, water, ice, fighting, psychic, and steel type, and it learns some pretty good moves and it's overall a pretty good Pokemon. Slowking gets a 4 out of 5. Misdreavus. Misdreavus has pretty good stats. Misdreavus is weak to the ghost and dark type. It resists the poison and bug type and is completely immune to the normal fighting and ground type. Misdreavus has some pretty good coverage and has a solid design. Overall, Misdreavus gets a 3.5 out of 5. And the last Pokemon we will be talking about today is Unknown. Unknown has okay overall stats. It is weak to the bug, ghost, and dark type. Unknown is resistant to the fighting and psychic type and is immune to the ground type. In my opinion, this Pokemon is pretty useless. It only learns one move being Hidden Power, and it's not even that good. I think the designs are okay and all the different types are cool, but this Pokemon had so much potential. In my opinion, they should have made this Pokemon like Zygarde, and you have to collect the different types to get one super strong Pokemon. But anyway, Unknown gets a 2 out of 5. That wraps up part 1 of my thoughts on Pokemon Generation 2. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. But as always, stay awesome. TooAwesome. Thanks for watching.